Right, guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Talk Up podcast, episode 6, and our next topic is, and I got to be honest, this was a request when I put it out on social and said, look, what do you want us to talk about? There was one obvious question everyone kept asking me, but the other one was, what do I think about Hagers AFDD video? And as I am currently out of the industry, I'm glad it's someone else's problem. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the David Savery vids, and then
Love your Savo.
I've watched the Hager response.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying much, but we'll talk about it now. But I haven't said anything on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
Where'd you start?
Well, I tell you why I'm really interested in your opinion rather than my own. One, I know my own, but why I think our listeners and our viewers will be more interested in your opinion is because you are who that video is supposed to be directed at you to give you confidence in their product.
We should probably explain for people who don't know about the situation what this situation is.
That's a good point. Now, I will put the link to Davo's videos and the Hager's response video because I don't think we can get it twisted. It is a direct response to Dave Savery's videos. 100%. Or if not to the videos, possibly the feedback that they've been receiving thanks to his videos. Yeah. The reason I know that is because I actually donated an AFDD to the Dave Savery Foundation for testing. So,
should we explain the...
Yeah, let's do it. So for those who aren't aware yet, Dave has become the connoisseur of AFDDs and has taken issue with the lack of response from the Hager AFDD when put through the Savo test.
I can't remember where it actually started from, or his first video on it. Was he just trying it? I can't actually remember that. But
I think if I remember rightly, he installed one, and his main issue at the time had nothing to do with the actual performance of the AFDD. It was all to do with the Bluetooth thing. Yeah. And he had a real pain in the arse setting it up.
Yeah, because you had to update the software. And
yeah,
stuff
and I think he installed it. And then he couldn't get the thing to work or talk, and then because he had an issue, that was it. Because didn't he go on their website and download stuff and then start like pointing out the fact they had spelling mistakes and all that? And then he went in.
Rubbing his hands together.
So that was before it even made it anywhere near his arc chamber. Yeah, that's what his arc chamber, right? So I think that's where it started, because it's like 3 or 4 volumes to the Dave Savery AFDD Academy. Yeah. So I think that's where it started. Which was your favourite? I can say favourite. Which of Dave's videos in regards to AFDDs? Let's not single out Hager just yet. In regards to AFDDs, was most impactful to you? Because there's only one that comes to my head.
I wouldn't say impactful. It just cracked me up when you're seeing all these other ones trip, and then it comes to the Hager, and it's just not budging. And you can see that his arc chamber, it's like up in flames.
Mate, it's on fire. You have to actually there's one point where he's flicking the power like,
you can see he's getting tamping with it.
He has to cut the video because
his Lego melted.
I fear that his back cave is going to burn down. So, but yeah, I mean,
but yeah, that's essentially what it is the AFDD is not tripping when all other brands are tripping. Yeah. And he's created his own little arc chamber. When he turns a dial, it creates an arc.
He's got 2 arc chambers, right, isn't he? He's got the one which looks like a torpedo, and then he had the one on the wall.
Yeah.
Now the one, and he also did some stuff where I think he put some water on a conductor and everything, and that literally caused a fire.
He made a parallel arc and a series arc.
Yeah, and which, to be fair, when I went on the electrician's pod and they asked me about it, what my thoughts were. And I said then, very gingerly, the one way he's putting water on a cable, I didn't think that was a genuine test, to be fair. I think that's more of a short circuit than an arc, okay? But the arc chamber, the one on the wall, where he's using 2 basically contacts, and it's just creating a fire. I had no idea why that didn't trip. And I remember saying on that pod, I'm glad it's not one of mine, because I couldn't explain it, which I felt for Hager in that moment, because if you can't explain the problem or choose not to explain the problem, that's a big problem. So I think after that, and I think a lot of people felt the same way, like, hang on, this is how I understand an arc to operate. Yeah. Your device isn't operating. And then when Dave did on his last video that I seen, where I thought he blew it out of the water, was when he had ours fuse box, the Schneider one, the Wilex one, and the old Hager one.
Yeah.
So the Hager double module one, when he had that on there, that's when I was just like, oh, okay. And then I thought, well, okay, he may or may not have a point. And I could, because again, you'd think they'd have the same tripping characteristics, right? So, and from what I understand, they got a lot of grief at Elex. Now, guys, one thing I would say, right, is if you are approaching an employee of any company, I've always felt it's a bit different on our stands, right? I am Mr. Verso, right? I designed it, everything else. I was involved heavily in everything. If I can't answer the question, okay, I've got a guy at the factory who can, and I expect that, like, if you want to scrutinize my product and things like that, then fine, you can come at me. But if you were to come at my staff, and I think they got a lot of grief on the stand.
This is why I've been thinking. It's like people on the stands, they don't know the product ins and out. They're just doing their job. Yeah. They haven't designed the product, so I get all of that. It's like everyone's gonna not take blame for anything. It's much higher up somewhere. Yeah. Where the issue is, they're just doing their job. They don't want to be harassed. Exactly. Understand? So I get that as well.
And I think because of all that, Hager then took the decision to address it, which is what this video is. Right. So guys, I think that's a fair assessment of the background of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're back at the beginning. What did you think of their response? Did it satisfy you as an electrician? Would you, after seeing their response, okay, let's not get into the quality of the video and anything else. Let's just, as a response from a company that do 4.6 billion euros annually, or globally, should I say, did that satisfy you? Because they hold themselves in high esteem, and they've earned that, okay, over the years, as one of the market leaders. Would you now fit a Hager AFDD?
The answer to that is no, but hear me out. I've always been under the impression, but this just might be me being naive, I don't know. If it sees an arc, it trips. Not flames, like. If it sees an arc, it should trip. But an arc fault detection device.
Yeah, mate, I'm with you.
That's my point to it. So it's like, if I'm going to fit a AFDD in someone's house, I just want to go with something I know is going to trip with an arc as well. Not when the house is already on fire, kind of.
So this is what I learned. And honestly, I learned something from that Hager video that I didn't know. Right? I wasn't aware that there were two testing types that you can do to pass that BSEN standard. Now, I knew which one we used, which was the arc chamber, which unsurprisingly, when Davo recreated one, then tripped. The answer that Hager give, and like I say, guys, watch the video.
Yeah.
The answer that they give is they use a different type of test, which they're allowed to do under the regs, okay? Which, again, I've had a very busy month. I haven't had a chance to find out what the parameters of that are. And that is they used a carbonized cable, which basically means, if you watch the video, you'll see, as they run a current through that cable, it creates a flame. Now, their chief engineer, whatever he was, explained that this is the critical failure point of, the situation. Is that about right?
Yeah, but the cable's basically on fire now.
The cable was on fire.
Yeah, the cable is on fire, so it's like hard to. I know what they're saying. If it still complies, it complies. I get that. So is it essentially?
But the cable's on fire.
But the cable's on fire. Yeah, that's my point to it.
That was the bit that I could understand where they were going, but every time they showed it, the cable's on fire.
So if we look at it now, say if a building did burn down because it still managed to catch fire, even though it did trip, but something's already caught onto it. We're only installing these to stop that happening.
They're preventative, like they're protection devices. They're not after the fact devices. That was the bit that blew my head. When I looked at it, I thought, okay, so there's two types of tests. You've chosen to go with the one where at critical mass, we guarantee that it works.
So, we spoke off camera. It's to do with the cable that doesn't, was it melt or arc or catch fire, you said?
Yeah.
Well, it does catch fire with that one. So the LSF cable, the low smoke cable that doesn't catch fire, it won't work on at all then? because that's only gonna create an arc.
I think actually, and we'll delve into some of the comments on the video, right? And I'm sure if any of you watch this and listen to this and that haven't seen it yet, we'll add your own comments. But I think someone brought up LSF in one of the comments as I was scrolling through earlier, which is a great point, and I hadn't thought about it until then, and then again, obviously, until you mentioned it there. That's a great point. But I think what they try to do, and again, I've been in a situation where you don't want to lose. No one wants to lose confidence in their product, right? So I understand the reaction. I just don't think it hit the way they were hoping it would, because throughout the video, you see cable on fire.
Yeah.
Right, and like you pointed out, everyone else is tripped when you see in an arc. Now, if there's an arc, I would expect that product to trip, because as a preventative measure, if you see an arc, you would expect the arc fault detection device to detect it and therefore keep that circuit safe.
So obviously arcs create fires. So
you want to stop. Create heat. So a small arc will create up to 6,000 centigrade worth of heat.
That's insane.
Now you put that in a timber frame, plasterboard wall.
Yeah.
Tripping like that at 6,000 centigrade. But don't worry, when it catches fire, we'll cut the power.
But in this sense, though, if it passes all their tests and it complies with the regulations, he can just wipe their hands of it and be like...
Well, that's what they've done. And from what I understand, at the Elex show, they turned around and said, if you don't like it, don't fit it.
So they're doing nothing wrong in the sense of...
But I get that. And I didn't understand that there was this other test, like I say. And that's what they're essentially saying. Look, it complies. If you don't want to fit it, we completely appreciate that. But, we stand by our product. Okay. But as an electrician, as you pointed out, I can see 4 or 5 other manufacturers that behave as I expect them to. I was just really shocked at that response.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I picked out a...
you got comments?
I got picked out, yeah, I mean, there's loads, right? There's 2,500 people have watched this video. About 4.5 million have talked about it. And there's this one here, 3 days ago. Someone keeps trying to call me, apologies. From dead.format, okay, on YouTube, who starts out with, this video shows that it meets all standards and lab testing, which it does.
Is fair.
Yeah, but I'm just not sold. Forget all the mathematics, lab tests and regulations. Stripping it back to basics, I saw real life arcs and didn't see it activate.
Which is what we're kind of saying, yeah.
Which he's talking about Dave's video, don't he? Something needs addressing with them to reassure folks, which I think is what they tried to do by explaining their method of testing. I just don't think their method of testing reassured anyone. No,
because I saw a flame.
That's
why I just keep going back to it. It may sound stupid, and I'm not looking into it too much, but I saw a flame.
But the worst part is, right, I correlate the flame I saw in their video to the flame I saw in Dave's video and think, okay, so this has to catch fire before it works. And the other thing I didn't understand in Dave's video is when it caught fire.
It still didn't work. Yeah, true.
And, yeah, and again, Hager, I'm not disagreeing with your test. For the life of me, I don't understand enough about it, but I think you really need to have. I think you need to go back to the drawing board in the way you're addressing this to people to regain confidence.
As you as a manufacturer, how do you go about this? Now they've probably invested millions into this.
Oh, and the rest, yeah.
So much money. Like, who's going to take the call to say, yeah, we're going to change it, or they're just going to keep it the same and just keep quiet about it? Like, what would you do in this situation? So I wouldn't have a clue what I'd do if I was Hager. Because you've got to think the social media side of things, people who've seen Dave Savery, is a very small amount to
it
who's
might well
actually
be
fit
a
in
small
Hager.
amount, but and again, I can attest to this after what's happened to me over the last couple of weeks. You don't have to have seen that video to heard about that video, and here's the danger for a wholesaler. Okay, you who are on social media savvy, see something, read something, hears about it, someone reposts something, whatever. You can, with or without context, take that information into your wholesaler.
I have done.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your wholesaler now, hey, you got a problem with their AFDDs, don't work.
Stop selling them.
Yeah, they'll stop selling them, because the last thing a wholesaler wants is ag. And manufacturers don't make it easy to send stuff back. Right? Okay. Especially when they think that product isn't faulty.
Yeah.
So like we used to do it, right? So if you send something back to us, because we individually tested the products, okay? So if you send that back and it's genuinely faulty, we hold our hands up, which is like 1 in a million. But if you send it back and it works perfectly fine, first time, we tell the wholesaler, right, you got a warning, don't do it again. Second time, we charge them for the testing, which is 45 quid.
Oh.
So they're like, well, okay. And so
they just want to try and step away if they can.
Again, you're not going to put that product forward if you think it's going to cause you a headache.
But I know in tenders, I've looked at some tenders, and they specify in some of them Hager.
Oh, a lot of them do. Yeah, especially domestically. A lot of them do. A bit like Hager, I would say, are where Wilex were 10 years ago, when where Schneider probably is in commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That some people haven't got a choice now, but
no,
to fit them.
But again, okay, it doesn't take a lot for the DLO team of a housing association or a subcontractor to a housing association to turn around and say, hey, I'm not fitting that. Have you seen this video?
True.
And you see flames. And then you go to Hager's response video and you see flames. And you're thinking, I've got a housing stock of 5,000-6,000 of social housing. The last thing I want to see is flames. So, yeah, and again, it's headaches, right? And it doesn't take a lot for that to spiral out of control. So they had to respond. I just think maybe it didn't achieve what they were hoping it would.
Like you were just saying as well about like the social media is a very small majority, but you're saying that word of mouth can go around quite quick.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, this is the first public speaking I have done since the 22nd of February, which is a day that I will remember forever, right? And the stuff I've heard about myself in the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, perpetuated by other people, which is just, again, and that's based on nothing. Again, no one said anything. I haven't said anything. No one else said anything. Just on someone's opinion because they put 2 and 2 together and come out with fish. You see a YouTube video where other devices are tripping under the parameters you expect them to, and then you see one that kind of, again, I feel for Hager, I do. And you ask the question, like, what would I do in this situation? Because you've invested all this money and everything else. Yes, they can lean on their name, on their reputation. They can lean on the fact they've got specification, and that will pull them through. But I also know commercially, in the back end of it, they've had to react for wholesalers, which has kind of encouraged wholesalers that previously couldn't access a product to those sort of price points to spend that money with them. But it's also aggrieved the wholesalers that were big stockists before, and so they have tried to respond from that side of the market, I suppose, from the one I come from. But it won't help if your side of the market ain't buying it.
Yeah, but again, that's what I'm just saying though. But it's only a small majority that knows about it because of social media. You think the amount of people that fit in Hager,
right? We're going to get into this bit when we go into my bit in a minute. But I can guarantee you. Do you know what other manufacturers are doing with that information? So if let's say, for example, a rep for another circuit protection factory or company, so
they use that,
mate.
Right, okay.
So
eventually it'll go round either way or not.
And they wouldn't even have to seen the video. They just know someone who knows someone who knows someone who's seen the video. And that's what I'm saying. It's like 2,500 people, 4,500, 10,000 people, whatever, might have seen Dave's video, but
so many more.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah,
and the ones who are going to be most dangerous with that information are the ones that are competing next to Hager. Which is why I made a point of not mentioning it when I was pitching our product, because I've said this before. Hager's always been a company I've respected, and I always kind of tried to model us around for a long time. Not so much over the last couple of years, but I just, again, I do feel for them. I do feel for the staff that are getting the abuse for it. What would I do? I understand the Bluetooth thing. After watching their video, I had a completely different understanding of what it was for before watching that video. But because basically what they're saying is they want to increase these things cost 100 quid a pop, right? So they're trying to increase the longevity of an AFDD because things will change. Look how much circuits and housing and things like that's changed over the last 10 years. Over the next 10, 15 years, they anticipate that changing much more. And they want their device to be able to cater for that. Cool. Fine. So you've got potentially the bones of that there, if that's how that firmware operates. So you keep that. But you have to go on some serious PR repair situation, and I don't know. They're not social media savvy. Their marketing is very direct to. It's not consumer or contracted based. It's very wholesaler based. And I don't know, is the honest answer, how I would deal with it. I'm really grateful that I don't have to. I'll be honest. So guys, have a look at the video, see what you think, and maybe actually, rather than vilify Hager or try and destroy another company, maybe suggest some things that they could do that would help pacify public opinion, because I do think there's some good stuff there, and it must work. That's my thing. I'm still putting faith in a company that big, that the testing is detailed enough that the bloody thing must work.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but if I'm going to a shop now and I'm picking between two boards and I need to fit AFDDs, I'm definitely going to go with the other one at the moment.
Well, again, what would I do? Okay, it passes a particular test. I would recalibrate it so it passes the other one. That's a
good point.
And then, because you've already balls deep in it anyway, fix the problem to the point where your customers are comfortable with it, and then get on with it.
And with the whole Bluetooth thing, if they're adamant and the longevity of it, well, they should be able to update it to pass that test, shouldn't they?
Ooh, there you go. I can't summarise that any better.
Right, thank you guys for watching part 2, and if you can't wait to see part 3, go and listen to the audio over on Apple Music and Spotify, where you can listen to the full audio version. Woo! Woo!